Welcome to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Guys, if you haven't seen Hot Take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement, give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a TV show, and that TV show is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Here to discuss, as always, the Force is with him, Chris Trio.
Hello there, Gooch. How are you?
I'm good. Busy weekend. It's hot.
It is. We're getting to that summertime heat.
It's like Tatooine out there.
I'm curious how there's definitely some weird statistic out there as to how hot Tatooine is canonically.
They do wear long sleeves.
They do. I mean, and tan clothes. I could not imagine wearing a dark, like Obi-Wan with that dark robe. Oh, on a hot day, I'd be sweating bullets. But, Gooch, we're here to talk the long-awaited. I mean, something I feel like we've been waiting for since the beginning of the Disney acquisition of Lucasfilm, at least for me. And that is Obi-Wan Kenobi. We didn't really talk much about this. We have a group chat going. We kind of interspersed some things in there. Overarching thoughts. I want to hear it. Lay it on me. Give it to me.
It's good, but it could have been better. And that's the definitive takeaway from this. It could have been better. It's not the second coming of Christ that I think we all kind of wanted. I think, if anything, it kind of does almost too much with other characters that aren't Obi-Wan. It kind of tries to explore not different themes, but it like instead of just integrating Obi-Wan and just kind of sticking with him, we get Luke. Spoilers for like the first episode. We get Leia. We get, I mean, obviously Darth Vader is involved in this, but the inclusion of Luke and Leia, I think, almost muddles this too much.
Sure.
And like I feel like this is a complaint I have with everything Star Wars. We can only do so much.
Sure.
That we have to stay within this certain. We have to stay on the street. We can't make a left. We can't make a right. We're going down a straight road here. Absolutely. So there's only a certain story we can tell. So again, it is good. I enjoyed it. There are some really cool moments in this show, but this show should have been a 2-hour movie. This should not have been a show. 100%. And I don't want a second season. We don't need a second season because what I just said, those points I just made, are only going to get worse if you just try to add on to this. And then it becomes less special.
Totally agree.
Trio, what do you think?
Overall, I'm somewhat in the same boat. I think I might be a tiny bit more positive. I think there's some ups and downs in this, not nearly to the degree of a Boba Fett.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think the writing in it is like some of the strongest Star Wars writing I've ever heard, and some of my favorite lines I've ever heard from a Star Wars thing. Then other ideas, I'm just like, why did we go here? Like, I know a lot of people had complaints about Reva, and I think some of them are definitely legitimate. I think her character can get a little annoying, and I found the actress, though, to be doing exactly what she was intended to and all that, and I think that her overarching story ended up paying off, and unfortunately I think they did more to build up her character in the last episode than in the entire series, and I actually did feel for her by the end a lot. I feel like it focused on Obi-Wan enough. I hear what you're saying, though, with that this should have been more of the sole focus, but I do unfortunately think with like especially shows, I think what you said before, like I was saying too, this should have been a 2.5-hour movie, and you easily could cut down what we have right now, I think, to an incredibly great 2.5-hour movie that would do amazing. I think you can cut out the Leia stuff completely. I like that actor a lot playing her. I thought she was really cute, and I found there were some really good moments. But overall, I didn't find that storyline to be worth it. I know people are talking about how that messes up canonically, like what she's saying to Kenobi and all that, but guess what? There are 1,000 things that have been messed up by the prequels already because of that. Like, Leia in the originals talks about how she remembers her mother, and like how she remembers faintly when they were kids, how they would play with her or something. Like, there's a lot of things already that have been canonically fucked up, but that payoff between Vader and Obi-Wan at the end was genuinely the highlight of all of the last 5 years of Star Wars to me. Genuinely, since Force Awakens, that confrontation, and I know it's unfortunate, like you're saying, we're in these bounds. We know he can't kill him, and unfortunately, he doesn't for plot. That's it, really. Like I think you can kind of I think you can kind of put that to other motivations, and I'm willing to accept that. But I can understand why people would be like, "What the fuck?" And that's the other thing. I don't know what I was expecting with an Obi-Wan series, like because
I know what I was expecting it. I was expecting it to be really good.
But like, what do you want them to cover?
I don't know, but how could they?
Because I think there's no way that you can do this without screwing anything up.
How could they fuck it up. Because it's like Obi-Wan is, I think, one of the.
But do you think they fucked it up?
Fucked it up? No.
Because like
No,
I
exactly.
think they drove it home with that last episode and everything. And listen, I agree. I think the series was drawn out, and I think that there's some issues there. But I think this did beat my expectations. This did exceed
Really?
my. Yeah, I was sitting there with a tear in my eye as Darth Vader says, "You didn't kill Anakin, Obi-Wan. I did." It was so good, and it felt like it did line up with the character. I love this idea of Obi-Wan sitting with these past 10 years of like, what could I have done differently? Anakin fell because I fucked up, and I left him to burn to death, and I thought I killed him. I don't know why you didn't just finish him off, but even on Mustafar. But I think this idea of him dealing with that PTSD and then him realizing that Anakin survived, Ewan McGregor is so good.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, he is the linchpin of this whole thing, and he sells it so well. Yeah, I don't know, Gooch. It did meet my expectations.
I have a few points from what you've been saying. So one, I think one thing that Disney has not done wrong with Star Wars is Vader. For some reason, and I'm not like that is the one thing they have not fucked up at all. And it's very strange,
No,
right? To
it
even
is.
say.
No, it really
like,
is.
Vader, like Rogue One, great. We've seen it. Well, actually, the Clone Wars stuff I think is
Again, they kind of give us glimpses, but whenever they do, it feels very in line with that character.
right. Yeah, like Vader in this feels like Anakin Skywalker.
He does feel
not
like
feel
he
like
feels like the median almost in my opinion. Yeah,
he does not feel like Darth Vader. He feels like Anakin Skywalker.
he's still
in a
getting
Darth
his
Vader
feel.
suit.
Like he's in it. He's 9 years in. He's about halfway through to what we see him. There's 9 more years till New Hope.
New Hope. Yeah.
So
and
it is interesting.
Yeah, like the line what have you become? I am what you made me is probably like one of like I'm like yeah that's one of those lines.
Yeah,
That's
no,
one
of
of
course.
those
That's one
lines.
of those. Yeah.
It's fucking fantastic. Another point. I think it's clear that Disney needs to do the way they release their Star Wars shows. And honestly, no. Disney needs to reanalyze the way they release their content with their shows. Because I'm not sure, one, having a Marvel and a Star Wars show compete with each other on the same day is the right call.
Sure.
Miss
There's
Marvel
definitely some overlap for sure.
definitely like kind of started, like nobody's really talking about Miss Marvel.
Sure. But I don't think that's because of Obi-Wan.
I think it is.
I disagree.
I think
Obi-Wan already had its like.
I think it's because of Obi-Wan and because there's too much out right now. There's just too
True.
much to
I mean,
watch.
there's everything. Like Boys is out. Yeah. All, like
Stranger Things.
There's a ton.
There's too much out, and something has to be in the back, and that was Miss Marvel dropping in the middle of Obi-Wan and then all this other stuff.
Boys,
I'm like,
Stranger Things.
why couldn't they just thought it out? I'm like, why don't we just keep Obi-Wan on Fridays and Miss Marvel on Wednesdays? And I think that would have balanced it out a little better. But like even so, like they were rotating their shows when they first started the streaming service, and I think that was great. But ultimately, and I think we'll talk about this on the Star Wars Gut Check podcast we're gonna do, which is kind of a follow up to Is Disney Ruining Star Wars podcast from a few years ago.
Wow, was that really a few years?
It was 2020.
Yeah. Fucking Christ.
Yeah, so that's kind of going into that. So I won't keep going off on it. Yeah.
To your point about the Disney needing to rethink these things, I think they're too afraid of movies right now. I think they saw
clearly.
that Mandalorian did well, and they saw and it works really. Mandalorian, again, some of my top tier first season, top tier Star Wars content in my humble opinion. But I think they've gotten this point where they are relying a little bit too heavily on the volume. They're relying too heavily on these more contained kind of areas where people were getting annoyed about that, like those running sections. And I agree, they were weirdly choreographed, and like you could have easily caught it to Leia. What the fuck are you doing? I genuinely think.
Yeah, that seems.
I genuinely think the reason is because they can only run 10 feet across the volume. So like it's not the biggest thing ever. Like it's not this gigantic stage. It has a limited amount of space. Obviously, you know this, but. So I think they literally like, well, you can't run too fast or you'll hit the end of the volume in 5 minutes. Like you can't. So I think the volume really is at this point becoming a bit of a hindrance to the degree of what they want to do. I feel like they're kind of like, all right, let's throw a few boxes in this room and put a floor down, and then we'll just let the volume kind of take care of the rest.
Yeah, and I didn't really have any complaints with CGI in this. Like the first 2 episodes were really good.
Yeah.
They felt like the prequels, which I liked, and that's what I wanted. I wanted Obi-Wan to retain its identity of being a prequel idea, which it does in the beginning. Then episode 3 and 4 I thought were trash, like really bad, boring, and then 5 and 6 really good. So it starts good, ends good, middle is not.
Again,
good.
This could have been a 2-hour movie. You could cut out the you can
like,
cut out the Leia
there's
subplot.
There's too much there.
The underwater base is about a 15-minute excursion in the full movie. Someone do it. I bet someone's out there. They're going to cut this series into a movie, and it's going to be amazing.
And I was cool with Leia being in the show. I thought that was kind of surprising. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And I wish it would have resolved itself in 3 episodes.
No, exactly.
Not drag it on.
No, yeah, I agree. Again, that's why I think that storyline was kind of the weakest part. And I think there's another way that it could be written to get Obi-Wan off-world.
I think they play up Leia's character like a little too hard.
Like they're trying to give you like the Han Solo, they give you her blaster.
Really trying to lay it on thick. That she grows up to be
Leia, yeah.
Leia. And I'm just like, I don't know if, like, you know.
Didn't work for you?
It was like, I get it. She's like a pretty smart 9-year-old kid. But like, I'm like, all right, she can't be this much of a, like, she's kind of a little bit of a know-it-all. Of a, like, she's too smart and too, like, clever for her own good as a kid.
But I think that's
to where it becomes annoying.
Sure. I mean, that works for me. I liked her a lot. It didn't annoy me. But I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'm just like, all right, I know the legacy. I get it.
No, absolutely.
But like, it's a little too hand.
And I'm with you in the way. Like I said, I think that whole storyline could be cut out. Genuinely.
Yeah.
And you can get.
I don't think it
Obi-Wan
needs to be cut out. I think it just needs to be shorter.
Sure.
And it needs to end more like. Not impactfully, but like I was also really confused of like we were talking. You mentioned earlier how it's like I always thought that when Leia sends that message to Obi-Wan, she really doesn't know who he is other than
that
the
was
stories
absolutely the original intention.
She's heard,
yeah,
and she's sending him a message.
Yeah,
not that, and like okay, so like how does Leia not like?
Because they need to store again, Gooch.
And
we could
Luke,
go back.
Does Luke not remember being attacked by a Sith Inquisitor?
He doesn't. He doesn't see the saber. He never sees the saber. Like they make it a very hard point to make sure he doesn't. Like as soon as she walks in the room, he's out the door and like he runs away and she doesn't get him. She doesn't have his saber.
It just kind of bothers me.
But like, do you know how many of those are in the prequels? Like that you
Yeah,
probably
I'm
just
sure
look
there are a
over.
lot.
Like you know, like that's what I'm saying. Like everyone.
But that's
likes
what's
to talk.
annoying about them doing things in the
Then they
in
shouldn't
the
have done
prequel
Yeah.
and original trilogy gap.
No, I agree.
And
I
it's
can't
where
disagree
they
at all.
like to. It's
They
where they
don't
like
really
to roam.
We're finally
Do
getting
anything
something
else.
with
Anything.
We're finally getting the Acolyte, which is set in the High Republic. It seems, and I'm pretty confident it's going to cover Darth Bane. That's my guess, which is awesome. That's great to see. Taika Waititi is apparently doing that next movie. Apparently, it's completely separate.
And I get Obi-Wan has to take place during this time period.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like
you're like I said, you have to stay on the road. The thing with Mandalorian, and I think why it's so good, is because you don't have to stay on the road.
No, they're not with legacy characters.
They're all new characters. They can do whatever they want.
100%.
They're in a certain time period where they have to play ball a certain way.
Sure.
But like, dude, they got the whole fucking field.
But that's again the reason. That's the innate issue with doing this show that I think you were always going to run into. And sure, you could argue that maybe there's better ways to do it and more canonically accurate ways to get there. And I would probably agree with you. But this was going to happen in this show. Because, like, if it's Vader, that's the interesting thing. Everything else has been filled in by comics. Like, after this is, like, there's a lot of comics that kind of cover what Kenobi's up to and things like that. And I think they shot themselves in the foot, Lucasfilm, and I think Dave Filoni in a way, because he didn't think these characters were probably going to go into action in real life. He thought this is all he would get online. So I feel like
What do you mean?
He used up Dave Filoni. Like I feel like when he created a lot of these storylines, there's a lot of really cool animated storylines that cover a lot of things that I think
that's what I
this
thought you were
show could have covered. Like,
Right.
Like the most logical storyline for this would have been
Maul.
Would have been Maul.
But we already did it.
We already did it.
Yeah.
And I think that's because Filoni really, he's like, oh well, I'll never be able to do this live action, so we can do this here.
I was having a conversation with somebody. I'm like, well, like, guess what? Would be cool to do, but they can't. Maul
Was Maul? No, that
they
wasn't.
can't do Maul. They've already done it, and it's in animated form, and it's fine. But like,
seeing that in real life would have been very impactful.
And I'm like, what are you gonna do, Vader again? And he doesn't
No,
kill him again.
That's what I'm
like
saying.
how?
So,
like that's why I said like we don't need a second season because.
And I completely agree with you.
It would almost be a retread.
Easily.
Like you would just do the same thing
or
again.
it would have to be Obi-Wan just doing weird mini adventures,
Which would be weird. I don't think we need that because
No,
I like the idea that Obi-Wan really sits tight
No, I agree. Like he
for those
he
19
did
years.
his
Doesn't do much of anything because
Yeah.
that's when you find him in A New Hope. He really,
I'm curious if there was any Legends
old Ben,
things.
the hermit.
Ben.
He's a hermit. Like, and I like that idea. I don't like it's like, oh, well, he was secretly doing stuff. I'm okay with him doing a few things.
Sure, but not like
not
out all the time. He should be there
was-
most of the time watching Luke. That's his point.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm curious what like Legends stuff did with like Obi-Wan originals.
Mike Mandel, friend of the show, would probably be.
He
able to
probably
tell you
would be.
that.
In Legends, I'm a little bit or a little bit fuzzy on certain aspects. I don't know how much they covered Obi-Wan in that.
And
What did you think about like the Inquisitors?
I was just gonna bring up Reva. I liked Reva. Reva was fine. We all knew she was a fucking Padawan.
Well, it's like why else are you showing that?
and of course the first scene being in like
Prequel.
you know how see and like that's the funny thing. I would love to just see more prequel stuff. Now,
See, what I really think
with the today's technology, I'm like, I think that's kind of what people want to see. I don't think we want to see this in between
first
time
time
period.
we've ever seen live action clone trooper
And that's
armor.
fucking wild.
Isn't it insane?
Wild.
Well,
And
officially anyways,
Tamara
yeah.
Morrison being one of the clone troopers
Really
was cool.
great touch,
And
yeah.
like, okay, we were on Tatooine for
an episode.
an episode and a half, technically.
What else were we on there for after
The
that?
last episode.
Oh, true.
Yeah. But, you know, we're quickly off Tatooine, which is, they really need to stop going back to Tatooine, by the way.
I know,
Like,
but
we
again,
really need to stop.
That's fair,
And
but
I get-
Obi-Wan's
and I-
the one where you can't.
Right,
Like,
and
that's the-
we mentioned that before.
Well, and it's
and
sand.
then,
I think it's sand planets in general.
and then
really, we need
episode
to-
2, we go to this like Blade Runner, Clone Wars looking, Attack of the Clones looking city, and I'm like, this is really cool.
And it's cool because it looks like a lived-in city. Like, whereas whenever you go back
And then episode 3 and 4 remind me of the original trilogy because
Yeah.
it's like desolate towns.
I just the only thing,
like
I always
nothing.
hated in the prequels was like you see like Coruscant and it's just all solid like metal streets that just as far as the eye could see, and it's like, how do you live here? What goes on? Like it doesn't seem like anything happens here. Like these, I feel like it feels like shit's happening. And that was his daughter, by the way, that offers him the death sticks, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
In real life. No, I thought that was really cool. I thought the locations were awesome. I thought the episode itself was a little boring, but seeing the Inquisitor base in real life was cool. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, obviously from Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah. I was really counting on a Cal Kestis show up.
I really was too, to
I
be honest with you.
genuinely was like,
Yeah.
that would be an amazing little tie. I mean, this one is. See, actually, I don't know though, because this one would then be set. The next Jedi Fallen Order is set literally right during that time. 10 years. It's 5 years after the first one, which is 5 years after the original Revenge of the Sith ends.
Right.
So that would literally be taking place concurrently. What if Obi-Wan shows up?
In the next Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, that's probably. Oh my gosh, that would be cool. But I'm trying to think.
I think they could do it. Maybe.
I think they absolutely could do it. I think Ewan McGregor would be game. It's cool to see how like excited he was to get back to this.
And that's also another thing. I don't think Ewan McGregor is just gonna like come back for like other seasons of this.
he seems very.
You know who will? Hayden Christensen will.
But you know who's very. He already. I just read like an interview with Ewan McGregor. He's like, oh, I'd love to do more if they want me back. So I think he would absolutely come back. I wouldn't even think that's up.
Yeah, but if it gets bad, then he'll change. He'll change his tune.
Sure, no, but as of right now, I'm just saying that's what he said. But yeah, Hayden Christensen, man, I know everyone was annoyed, like, why are you bringing him back? Blah blah blah. They could have literally done that last scene and not shown anything else, and I would have been completely fine with it.
I think he
so-
does good. Like the scene, the scene where they're dueling, the flashback, which I wish we kind of got more flashbacks.
Sure,
Especially like them in their Clone Wars armor
so
from
that's
the,
my one.
from the Clone Wars.
I wish
the show.
that flashback.
They were
And I
in
think it
them.
would have been more impactful. I wish I wish it was him, Anakin as a Jedi Knight in the Clone Wars, and they're in their stuff, and Obi-Wan still beats him, and he's like, "You'll always be my Padawan, man." Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would have been a bit more impactful. But why didn't they de-age him?
Yeah, it's a good question.
I thought that. I was like, it was interesting. And
Maybe they tried to and they couldn't get it.
no way. That's
you think?
No, that's because
They didn't de-age either of them.
No, and Ewan I think still looks pretty close to where
I
he was
mean,
at.
when he has
But
the
it is
hair,
funny.
I think it comes out.
It's funny to look back at, like, if you go back and look at Anakin in those movies, he's like bronze as fuck, and like, he is young as hell. But I did not
really
realize how
young.
tan he is, like in it. Like he
Yeah.
is noticeably different. But no, I thought that whole scene was very awesome. Like that whole flashback and the idea of him still learning. He's like, Anakin, I'll always beat you because you are. This is why you are always. You need to prove
The
something.
rage.
It's the rage. Fear
the
leads to
fever,
rage.
the rage.
Rage leads
the
to
feeling of powerless that turns good men cruel.
Cool. And
Thanks,
thanks, Batman.
Alfred.
Alfred, that's right. I'm sorry. But yeah, man. Overall, I guess the Anakin and Obi-Wan stuff just really completely ties this in for me and really kind of
Right.
makes
I mean,
it sad.
and that's what we
that's
wanted,
fair.
and that's
yeah.
what I was
so,
expecting
and that's
going
why
in.
I'm not like with the Reva stuff and that other stuff. I did really like her.
The Grand Inquisitor thing was kind of weird. Why
was
did they
weird.
kill him? Just be like, I'm back.
Yeah. I don't know.
JK, see you in Rebels.
Thanks. No, I thought the idea of Reva like kind of becoming, she's just like, I just want to kill Vader. The idea of her wanting to get close to him, that makes total sense to me. I think all that lines up. I know people were like, why did Vader let her live? Why isn't he more ruthless? I thought he was pretty ruthless for the most part. I know, like, and he's smart and he's using her. Like, that's the whole reason. He knew, like, I don't know. I found him to be dealing with her in a way that felt concurrent with his character to me, but I felt like I was seeing people being like,
We're talking about
"That's not-
Vader?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that she handled him fine. And
No, he handled her fine, you mean?
what I say?
Because like
He handled him.
She handled him fine, yeah.
He handled her fine.
Yeah.
Like him just going along with it makes sense. I
Sure.
don't know. I didn't find anything he did
Like out of character.
like
yeah.
I mean, and especially when we see him like that fight scene where he splits her saber in half and he fights with both
dude,
halves. Like
the way that,
and grabbing the shuttle out of the fucking air, like, dude, shut the fuck
Dude,
up.
I just
like, come
loved how
on,
he
like
wasn't
that
even-
was good.
the fight choreography is kind of up and down in this, but the Reva Vader and the Obi-Wan Vader at the end are awesome.
The
And
Obi-Wan Vader at the beginning is like weird.
Well, it's weird. I get what they were trying to go for there. The idea that like Obi-Wan's completely out of touch with the Force, and even Vader's like, what the fuck?
He's out of touch with everything.
He has to,
Yeah.
and Vader's like, this is bullshit. Like, fight me. I want an actual real fight.
I really wish the drag through see. I like the drag through the fire thing, but ultimately nothing comes of it.
No, I agree.
What, we throw him in the back to tank and he's good?
That's the
Like,
one thing at the
okay.
end I did think, like, where
Like,
I was
what's
he
the
was
point?
fine with just crushing him at the end, where I did like that idea of he's like, no, I'm going to torture the shit out of you.
Right, but like we don't like it. Ultimately, didn't
that's back
matter.
to- yeah.
yeah.
No, I know.
But,
No, I get what you mean. That's
like
fair.
it
That's fair.
would have been cool to have been like, oh, like he has a burn on an arm because we never,
Sure.
we
And
never
I
see
do-
Obi-Wan short sleeved. So
I do think the writing in that episode was just it's not the strongest. Like they just
and
drag
he's just
him away.
and he's just like running away. Like
yeah, they just drag him away. So
He's like, oh shit, here we go.
I did, but there is stuff that I don't know. I find funny and I enjoy and I think is Star Wars that I don't know. Maybe people hate, like when Obi-Wan's walking Leia out and she's just under his coat.
Oh yeah, it was fucking
I thought it was
ridiculous.
hilarious. I don't know.
It's
I
fucking
think it's
ridiculous.
hilarious. But like that's Star Wars.
It's like
It
they
is-
clearly
it's
didn't
always been-
think it through that much.
Well, no, but I don't even think it's that. I think they're just
I
like,
do.
no, it's just intentionally silly because that's the whole point.
Maybe.
I mean, I think that I mean, a
Obi-Wan
lot of
isn't a
stuff-
silly character.
No, but that's very Star Wars. That's a Star. Like it's like Han talking on the fucking comm to the people. No, we're fine. We're fine. How are you? Like it's completely for me. I can understand why people don't like it, but
But
that
Han
works
is
for me.
that character. Obi-Wan is not.
No, but I'm not. But Obi-Wan's not doing it to be campy. He's doing because he actually thinks it's fine. Like because everyone's so distracted, it works for me. I guess at the end of the day, I think that works within the
I'm
world
not
of Star
buying
Wars
it.
to me.
I'm not buying that.
That's
at
fair.
all.
It cannot, but that's something that I absolutely love, and I think perfectly fits within the tone of how Star Wars is campy and corny all the time. And I did see people talk about like Rey's line or corny, blah blah blah. They're over the top. It's like, yeah, that's Star Wars.
I mean,
guys.
she's fanatical.
yeah,
so-
exactly. I don't know. I think that's
I mean,
that's classically.
I think
Star Wars.
she's like pretty zealous too. Like,
Absolutely.
like I don't what she says and how far she goes. I think is just kind of like the point of her character.
No, exactly.
like it's
Absolutely.
What do you, yeah, I wouldn't say they're over the top. It's the point is to be over the top.
Exactly.
Like she clearly is a little unhinged and obsessed, and like
Mm-hmm.
even the third brother,
Third brother, yeah.
yeah, he's
Han
like,
from Fast and Furious.
yeah, he's like, you're out of fucking line,
Yeah.
and like, and they're all kind of like, you're out of line,
Yeah.
like you're really like, what is your obsession with Obi-Wan?
No,
I
it's-
get it, but like. Come on.
I gotta say, it was.
And she goes to like lengths to try to kill him.
Yeah.
Like sort of over Vader's, I guess, not willingness, but he doesn't seem to engage, probably because he doesn't believe it. I would imagine.
Believe what? That Obi-Wan. One more time. I'm sorry.
Right. That Obi-Wan is like on this planet
Yeah.
or whatever. Like it doesn't seem like he buys it just yet.
Yeah. Well, and
then he
seems
feels
to have
him,
been
and he's like, "All right, here I come."
It's like, oh, he's there, and that moment when he he says Anakin, and it goes to him in the tank, and then it kind of comes back out. So good. I think that they should have had more flashbacks in this. I think there should have been more Obi-Wan contemplating his time with Anakin, and maybe it's flashbacks to him in the Clone Wars kind of seeing the cracks of Anakin and not really, and being like, no, it's fine. He's good. He's a good
they
guy.
don't need to be like super intense
but like
dialogue
they'd have
scenes,
to be
but-
like it's one. Yeah, it's like it's a scene. They're doing a raid
fighting,
on something,
yeah.
and he sees Anakin go a little too far, and he's like, well, like he sees the cracks, but he doesn't want to believe it, and then by the end he does come to this realization, and I think it still works the way to do it with that final confrontation between him and Vader, and oh man, I really did. I watched it like 4 times that day. Just that scene. I really do think it fits so well within their characters, and it does set up where they are in the prequels. Sure, he doesn't kill him, and I will take that as a. I think you can write out of that. I
gives
think you
him
can,
the head scar.
I
though.
think you can do it. Is that? I don't think that's how
he slices.
he
through
slices,
the-
but I don't think he actually hits his head.
I think he does.
He might. I didn't see it in what I watched.
I don't think it was necessarily you're supposed to see it, but from what I understood, that he like grazed his head. He fucking slashed through his helmet.
No, I know, but I don't think he got any of his face. I think he literally just slashed his helmet.
It's the top of his head.
No, that's from like when in canon they have to pop his skull. He has too much pressure in his head, so they literally have to put a hole in the top of his head to like relieve the pressure, and then there's a scar there now. Unless they changed it canonically.
I don't think that's true at all.
No, that's what I mean. That's how it old was.
I've been seeing Twitter posts of like that's the scar.
He doesn't hit him. I know he doesn't. I watched the scene like 8 times. He slices through his helmet.
Right,
It would have hit here.
No, he takes the top off.
It's like the front. It's like from here to
right,
here.
and then it just kind of like
Yeah, but that would mean it would slice his eye. I'm just listen.
no, it wouldn't.
Agree to disagree on this one. I watched.
Not the way they fucking did it. Sure, maybe realistically, yeah.
No, but I mean,
don't
it
know.
literally doesn't. Like he would have a big like cut. He doesn't. It's just his white face. It doesn't. His lightsaber doesn't hit his face. I'm telling you, man.
I think it hits the top of his head. I think that was why they put it exactly where they put where it hit, because
I disagree.
When contact, it like grazed his head.
I didn't see any grays when we're
Folks,
watching.
what do you
Yeah,
think?
no, right, 'cause I didn't-
where do you think?
Where do you stand on the Anakin scar on the top of his head? Because I genuinely
YouTube comments, Discord,
Please
you know where
do.
to find us.
Come
And
in.
you know, while you're at it, why don't you like and subscribe to this podcast? Send it to a friend
Always
that you
helps.
know watches Star Wars and would probably enjoy this podcast as well, because we all know you know somebody who watched Obi-Wan.
and if you don't, you're a liar.
True.
Yeah. So I don't know. Getting off that. I'd be curious to look more into that because that would make sense. Because old canon wise, I know for a fact that's what that scar is from. But
Well, if it's EU, it's totally.
I don't
not
think it
canon.
wasn't EU. I thought it was from a comic book that Marvel made. But
Fuck Marvel.
Marvel. Oh, also, really quick side note: if you have not read the Darth Vader comic book, the Marvel one, it started like right when they bought them. It picks up right after Revenge of the Sith. One of my favorite Star Wars things, without a doubt.
Vader. What's it called?
Vader. It might be Vader Immortal.
No, that's the game.
Oh, you're right. I can't remember. It's the first Marvel run they did. I
I
think
think
it
it's
literally.
the only one.
No, I think they've done more since. But it's literally just called Darth Vader. It's about how he gets his like lightsaber and just him kind of picking up after Revenge of the Sith. There's a really cool kind of flashback scene in it that's kind of like an alternate universe take on like what Anakin would have done. Very cool. You got to check it out. But no, I just thought that scene was insanely impactful. Just the few lines of dialogue, it felt very much within their characters. And I said this in the group chat, but the way he smiles when he says he killed Anakin is so fucking creepy and amazing. And even the way they did the makeup, his like face looked gaunt, and like I feel like he looked like almost like he looked like skeletonish, almost like he had really like pronounced cheekbones and stuff. It was fucking terrifying. It was just perfect, and I guess that's truly what's bringing me into this. Do I wish they got separated in a way that makes more sense? Yeah, like maybe something comes between them and he can't get to them. That's why he didn't kill him. But that's really my only kind of gripe with that. What did you think about their final confrontation?
Yeah, I mean, what's not to like?
It was just awesome.
I really don't think there's anything to critique about it.
No, I hear you.
Maybe the fact that he lets him go,
Yeah.
but obviously, there's, like I said, we're on a fucking road. We can only go straight.
Sure.
I did kind of like the glimpse of sort of like how the galaxy sort of drank the Kool-Aid on the Empire a little bit, and how like some of them seem.
Yeah, there was one alien there that was cool with them.
Yeah, that's played by Zach Braff or whatever his name is.
Yeah. No, it's great stuff. Also, that fight I wanted to say between
Aunt Beru.
Aunt Beru, that was still my favorite meme.
She was like,
she's like, let's fucking go.
It was really funny. I was like, wow, we're really.
She's ready to do it.
I mean, Owen, I can kind of understand being like,
let's go.
A little, I don't know, protective, and then maybe Aunt Beru being, more of like, I'll follow my husband, but I'm not gonna. She's like taking the guns out of the fucking thing. She's like, let's fucking kill this fucking bitch.
It's like, this is our house, motherfucker.
It's like oh, I didn't
amazing.
No, that's where.
And it was really cool they were able to bring both those actors back from the prequels.
Yeah,
like just happened chance.
What's Owen's name? He's a
wow, how am I forgetting? Joel Edgerton.
Yes. Yeah,
he's great.
Yeah.
But the Reva Vader fight actually was one of my favorites. The way he was just like, literally just like swatting her away, almost like just using the Force and just dodging everything. He barely needed it.
Yeah,
It was so good.
Vader. I mean, it's.
We said it, but
it's always easy to make Vader fights look just fucking great.
But again, it's like it feels so Vader. Like he's just like not even fucking thinking about it.
And I think the only thing we didn't talk about was at the beginning of the show where Obi-Wan is talking to Qui-Gon Jinn. Obviously, we know about him being with like the living Force and stuff.
Sure.
And he can make a Force ghost, and we do get that what the fuck's his name? Holy shit. Liam Neeson cameo at the end when it was like, okay, good. I'm glad they did that because
I wish they didn't telegraph it so much, but we knew it would come.
I don't think we'll see, I was good with it. And it was cheeky too.
It was great. No, I loved it.
And then we do get like a hello there to Luke when I literally audibly like laughed at that. Because they knew what they were doing. That was not.
Of course they do. Yeah, I mean.
Right, but it was for the joke, not like.
No, it's for the joke. But also, I mean, that is like, it's funny how it just grew from even Ewan McGregor saying hello there. Like, it feels like part of the character now. It does. Like, I think it is cheeky, but it doesn't feel cheap to me or anything. I feel like it feels earned. But
also. Going back to okay, so Obi-Wan was in Luke's life at some point. And
he mentions that. Luke's like, oh, I know Ben. Yeah, he lives. Does he mean Ben Kenobi? He lives. Like, obviously, yeah, he's interacted with him before. At least that's what I always thought.
See, I always got the idea he didn't know who he was.
But he knows him. He's like, oh, Ben Kenobi. He lives over on, blah blah blah, Peach Street.
Yeah, 6'9" Peach Street.
6'9" Peach Street. Is that everything, Gooch? Did we miss anything? Probably, but
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Guys, thank you so much for watching with us live on twitch.tv/DelcoNerd We very much appreciate it. You can find all this podcast on all your favorite podcast apps. Just search Delco Nerd Network. We're on all your social medias as well, at Delco Nerds on basically everything. We got a Discord channel. We got a Facebook page. All that stuff is linked below. You can find this information on our website, DelcoNerdNetwork.com. You can email us, DelcoNerds@gmail.com, with your comments, questions, or concerns. We'd be very happy to get back to you. We love to hear from you. For Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching. Stay nerdy, guys, and we will see you next time.